hppodcraft.com.
Okay, Chad, we are rolling. Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Lovecraft. Happy birthday to you.
I am Basil Elton, keeper of the North Point light that my father and grandfather kept before me. Far from the shore stands the grey lighthouse, above sunken, slimy rocks that are seen when the tide is low, but unseen when the tide is high. Past that beacon for a century have swept the majestic barks of the seven seas. In the days of my grandfather there were many. In the days of my father, not so many. And now there are so few that I sometimes feel strangely alone, as though I were the last man on our planet.
Ah,
Wow, alone.
that was Andrew Lehman reading the first paragraph of The White Ship.
The White Ship. And Andrew, again, doing a magnificent job.
Yeah, man, it's very comforting. I was thinking about this guy being all alone in that lighthouse and how he feels like the last man on the planet, and I thought, if he had Andrew Lehman reading H.P. Lovecraft with him,
No, he wouldn't feel lonely at all.
he wouldn't feel lonely at all.
Ain't that the truth?
I was excited when I read this paragraph of The White Ship because I really
who read
like it? Me, Chad Pfeiffer.
Oh, okay, good. And I also read it.
You did. Who are you?
Chris Lackey. And I'm one of the hosts of the H.P. Lovecraft Literary Podcast.
We're here at hppodcraft.com talking about all kinds of stories,
Yeah, well, H.P. Lovecraft stories.
and we're talking about The White Ship today.
White Ship.
What I was saying was
Yes,
that
yes.
I got really excited when I read this paragraph because I like lighthouses. I think they're neat.
I love lighthouses.
I thought this was going to be a good one. I started to get concerned as we went into the next few paragraphs. The guy obviously introduced himself. His name is Basil Elton.
Basil Elton. Basil Elton is the keeper of the lighthouse.
Right, and it's been in his family for
generations. Generations.
And he talks about how ships have been coming from far shores to tell people in his family stories for generations.
Yeah, and
they've heard them and passed them down.
Yeah, and he's gotten books of stories and adventures and things like that.
Yeah, he loves books, he loves adventure stories, but he actually concludes that the ocean is a better storyteller. He says,
Blue, green, grey, white or black, smooth, ruffled or mountainous, that ocean is not silent. All my days have I watched it and listened to it, and I know it well. At first it told to me only the plain little tales of calm beaches and near ports, but with the years it grew more friendly and spoke of other things, of things more strange and more distant in space and time.
Yeah.
yeah, the ocean's telling him things.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool still.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm into it.
So then out of the south, this white ship
Yes.
begins to come on the full moon.
Yep. That's true.
He says it moves very silently, like a ghost ship. Sort of, no matter what the seas are like, it glides very smoothly across them.
And on the deck of the boat is a bearded robed man.
Right. Who one night seems to beckon to Basil as if he's asking him to travel with him to unknown shores.
Yeah. And then he walks on a moon.
You have to hear this to believe it.
All right.
Very brightly did the moon shine on the night I answered the call, and I walked out over the waters to the white ship on a bridge of moonbeams.
So yeah, that's when things get a little little Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, man. I did a double take because I was just positive that there was a horrible or an unspeakable or a nevertheless detestable that I missed in there somewhere.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
But no. It wasn't a bridge of
No.
dissonant moonbeams even, or moonbeams redolent with luxurious evil or anything like that. No.
Nope.
And at this point in the story, I could already tell that, even though it isn't literally true, I want to say that you'd get your ass kicked for reading this story in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? So anyway, from there, Basil and this bearded guy on the white ship start traveling around on the boat and seeing shit.
And they're going to magical lands, beautiful lands. And their first stop, the land of Zar.
First place they see is called Zar, and I saw that, and I wasn't happy.
No.
It sounded a little too much to me like Dar, the Beastmaster, but without the charm of Mark Singer.
Yeah, no charm. Well, Zar was specifically known for...
It says, in Zar dwells all the dreams and thoughts of beauty that come to men once and then are forgotten.
Yes, so this is all the cool things that people forget dwell in the land of Zar.
Yeah, that's neat. It kind of... the first thing I thought of actually was, I'm a fan of the Sandman graphic novels. Mm-hmm. And they're in the Dreamlands in there's a library, there's a wing of the library in the Dreaming that contains all of the books that were never written.
Yeah. By
famous authors, or even by anybody who's ever dreamed of a book, it's there. You know, that's pretty cool conceptually.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, so they didn't stop at Zar. They passed by it. Because the captain told him if you stop there, you can't go back to where you're from.
Oh, right. Yes,
right.
Yes.
It's sort of like a lost place. It actually reminded me of a George Carlin bit that I grabbed from online where he says,
That's the first thing that happens when you get to heaven. They give you back everything you ever lost. That's the whole meaning of heaven. You get back everything. Here you are, 79 pairs of sunglasses, 212 cigarette lighters, 4,983 ballpoint pens. Here's a jock strap we found on the Golden State Freeway. It appears to have mule hoof prints and chocolate sprinkles on it. Must have been quite an evening.
But so from Zar, you're right. They don't stop.
Right, I'm sorry. They don't stop at Zar.
Yeah, they go on to.
They go to Thalarian, the city of 1,000 wonders.
Right, and it says,
wherein reside all those mysteries that man has striven in vain to fathom. And I looked again at closer range and saw that the city was greater than any city I had known or dreamed of before. Into the sky the spires of its temples reached, so that no man might behold their peaks. And far back beyond the horizon stretched the grim grey walls, over which one might spy only a few roofs, weird and ominous, yet adorned with rich friezes and alluring sculptures.
Yeah. So
the writing's good. It
yeah.
really paints a kind of magical picture of these lands out there.
It does.
Do I really care?
No,
I don't know.
No, I don't care. I mean, maybe I'll care more as the story continues.
Yeah, well, Basil wants to enter to Thalarian, but the bearded man won't let him. And he says something that I thought was kind of a cool thing. He says,
therein walk only demons and mad things that are no longer men. And the streets are white with the unburied bones of those who have looked upon the Eidolon Lathi that reigns over the city.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
It's good stuff, but what's do you know this? What's an Eidolon? Eidolon?
Yeah, it's the spiritual duplicate of a person or a being or something.
Okay,
like
it's like a ghostly
spirit, phantom
mirror image.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so they don't stop there, but they just keep going south, and at that point they're starting to follow a bird. The ship is sailing.
Yes,
this bird flying.
Like
over
it's azure bird, I believe it is.
Yeah. They pass this coast that looks awesome, and Basil starts hearing these songs. It's a little like Odysseus and the Sirens. There's another place they go by where people are singing.
I thought it was Sade. I went back to...
No, it is like Sade. If I would have a hard time not going to an island if I heard Sade.
Yeah, if I heard Sade, I'd be going there.
Well, it means relaxation. It means...
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Smooth operating. And truly, Basil wants to go to this island of Sade as well, but they pass. And when they pass...
The wind grew stronger. The air was filled with the lethal, charnel odor of plague-stricken towns and uncovered cemeteries. And as we sailed madly away from that damnable coast, the bearded man spoke at last, saying, "This is Zura, the land of pleasures unattained."
This place sounds awesome. The land of pleasures unattained?
Well, yeah, but it smells like graveyards.
Oh. Well, but, I mean... I can think of a few life pleasures unattained. You know, like there's a couple girls in high school. You know, I would love to smooched.
Right,
never.
But
happened.
that's the point. You know, hopefully you would sail madly away from pursuing that land, because once you get there, it's not going to turn out well.
Oh.
The pleasures unattained are probably unattained for a good reason. Maybe is what that means.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know. This is like the worst Disney Jungle Cruise ever at this point. So they keep going, and they finally drop anchor in this harbor of, and how did you pronounce this? Sonanil?
Sonanil.
Sonanil.
The land of Sonanil.
And here's what he has to say about Sonanil in one sentence that I love.
This is the land of fancy, and we walked to the verdant shore upon a golden bridge of moonbeams.
That one sentence just kills me. This is the land of fancy.
Yeah, I feel like HR Pufnstuff's going to come walking out at any moment,
Right.
you know? Like, this is Sid Marty Krofft's
And I was a little
lost show.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
This is Welcome to Lidsville. Or whatever that wasn't. That, yeah.
Lidsville.
And Basil says, actually, this confused me. In one sentence, he says, "There is neither time nor space in Sona Nil." And then he goes on to say in the same sentence that he dwelt there for eons. So so there is time.
One
and
or the
space
other,
and,
pal.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Whatever. It's very pretty. He hangs out. He walks a bunch. It's just pretty tranquil. It's sort of like, I don't know.
It's just
Promises in
mellow.
Malibu.
It's cool. Yeah.
They do measure their years, as becomes evident in the text, and clearly they don't do it with numbers, but with ridiculous made-up words. Because it says here in this sentence,
It was against the full moon one night in the immemorial year of Tharp that I saw outlined the beckoning form of the celestial bird, and felt the first stirrings of unrest. Then I spoke with the bearded man, and told him of my new yearnings to depart for remote Cathuria, which no man hath seen, but which all believe to lie beyond the basalt pillars of the west. It is the land of hope, and in it shine the perfect ideals of all that we know elsewhere, or at least so men relate. But the bearded man said to me, "Beware of those perilous seas wherein men say Cathuria lies. In Sona Nil there is no pain or death, but who can tell what lies beyond the basalt pillars of the west?" Nonetheless, the next full moon I boarded the white ship, and with the reluctant bearded man left the happy harbor for untraveled seas.
The year of Tharp. I'm stuck on that still. I can't help it. The year of Tharp.
Yes.
1918, 1919, 1920, the
Yeah.
year of Tharp. 1922.
So our...
Oh, I'm sorry. So we're...
Well,
so
Basil, so he says, it's nice, it's tranquil here, and there's no pain or death. There's no horror here. And maybe ahead there is, but, I hear it's really awesome out there.
Yeah, and Cathuria. That's where
Cathuria. That's where the stuff
fun,
is.
The fun begins. We're back to the bird. The bird.
So they start following the bird, but it's not a great trip. The oarsmen aren't singing really anymore.
No.
But Basil, he just keeps imagining that this is an awesome place.
Yeah, Cathuria is awesome. I think he says specifically,
Cathuria, I would say to myself, is the abode of gods and the land of unnumbered cities of gold. Its forests are of aloe and sandalwood, even as the fragrant groves of Cameron, and among the trees flutter gay birds sweet with song.
Sweet with song.
oh, beautiful song.
So, in his head and in conversations with himself, this place is going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's going to love Cathuria.
Even though he really doesn't know.
He shouldn't go there.
I mean, he knows something because he blabs a little bit more after that excerpt to talk about the city's monarch, Doriab, and how great he is and what his palace is like. And the bearded man keeps telling him to turn back because they don't know about this place. But in his head, he's got this whole fiction of how great it's going to be.
Yeah.
He just wasn't happy with the nice place he had.
No, it wasn't enough.
It's like an American Tale. When Fievel keeps dreaming somewhere out there, there's this land that's the streets are paved with cheese.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Isn't it something
I
like
don't
that?
remember
I don't
that
know.
at all. I think that.
I guess maybe he's a little more like Halle Berry's husband. He's not satisfied with what he's got, even though it's beautiful. He just wants to... anyway. And on the 31st day, he says they approach Cathuria.
Yeah.
And Basil hears all of these songs, but these songs are better than the ones he heard before, even because the theme of all these songs is how awesome he is.
Yeah.
They're all like, Basil rules. Or in my head, I was thinking it was like, you got the touch.
You got the power.
Exactly. And the captain once again asks him to turn back, but they don't.
And when the music ceased and the mist lifted, we beheld not the land of Cathuria, but a swift-rushing, resistless sea, over which our helpless bark was borne towards some unknown goal. Soon to our ears came the distant thunder of falling waters, and to our eyes appeared on the far horizon ahead the titanic spray of a monstrous cataract, wherein the oceans of the world drop down to abysmal nothingness.
So it's not, they just run off the planet.
Off the edge of the planet.
Yeah.
And then as they're going over the edge, the bearded man with a tear in his eye, says,
Then did the bearded man say to me with tears on his cheek, We have rejected the beautiful land of Sonanil, which we may never behold again. The gods are greater than men, and they have conquered. And I closed my eyes before the crash that I knew would come, shutting out the sight of the celestial bird which flapped its mocking blue wings over the brink of the torrent. Out of that crash came darkness, and I heard the shrieking of men and of things which were not men.
yeah.
Bravo for throwing a little of that in there.
Yeah,
Momentarily,
a
I was
a little creepy stuff.
Yeah. So he hears another crash and then opens his eyes, and to find himself not descending into this abyss, but on the platform of the lighthouse.
And the light went out for the first time since his grandfather, his grandfather was running it. It went out once.
Right. And he runs up into the lighthouse and he looks at the calendar on the wall and he finds that, by the way, this is a normal calendar with numbers on it that makes sense. And he finds that no time has actually passed at all.
Right. Unless, of course, nobody came by
and changed the calendar.
That's
what I thought too.
Yeah, that seems, it was really strange to me because I was like going, well, maybe just nobody's been here for a week, you know? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Anyway, no time has passed, but he goes down to the shore to see if any...
at dawn when there's light out,
when
he
there's
goes
light to see if any boats have crashed. But no, there was no crash, no wreckage, except for a dead bird, a dead bluebird, azure, actually, is what he says.
And just one single shattered spar, which is like a wooden piece of rigging from a sailboat.
Yes,
just
and
just a teeny little bit there.
And it's white.
Dun, dun.
And thereafter the ocean told me its secrets no more. And though many times since has the moon shone full and high in the heavens, a white ship from the south came never again.
And that's the end.
And that's the end of the story.
Woo-wee is what I say about that story.
Yeah, I wasn't that into it. I mean,
no.
I guess it's... on my first reading, I thought, is this a Garden of Eden story or an Orpheus story? Because he doesn't have faith in what he already has, or he doesn't rely on the bearded captain who is his sort of spiritual guide. And he wanted to get knowledge of other places. He was punished.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know if it's... knowledge is so much, like gratification. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of the reading I've done. They talk about, this is kind of a commentary on Epicureanism, and it's a philosophy based around the teachings of Epicurus, who was a guy that only believed in the material, like things. Nothing that exists is anything more than matter, as in. It has no spirituality, people thought that there was like a spirit that we couldn't see and we couldn't feel, and his idea was all we are is matter, either water or.
And for that reason, seek all the pleasure that you can in life.
Right, because there's nothing more than what there is in life.
Right, and so when somebody is described as Epicurean, they're very pleasure-seeking, maybe to the detriment of their health even. In
his teachings, he was about seeking modest pleasures in order to attain a sense of tranquility, which a lot of people, it's common to think that, because a lot of the reading, when people talk about this, they think it's about hedonism, but it's not. He was all about enjoy modest pleasures and find those things that are tranquil. Because if you're boozing all the time, you're not going to have a good life. Which kind of gets it's philosophical, It's like, hey, if I'm gonna be partying all the time, I'm gonna die really quick.
So I should take that Epicurean on board bumper sticker off my car.
Well,
that's how I send out the subtle signal that I'm rocking it in there.
That's then you're sending the wrong message, because any real philosophy student would come up and say, oh, you want to just kind of maybe read a good book and go to the park?
That must be why all these college chicks climb in and they're only seeking modest pleasures. So disappointing. Okay, well, it did seem to me, to an extent, though, to fit into Lovecraft's thesis that maybe ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I was coming from. That if we explore the unknown, will inevitably be disappointed and freaked out.
You know what I really enjoyed? That in Kenneth Haight's book, Tour de Lovecraft, I'm holding it up right now, he talks about how...
Hold it up to the mic.
Yeah, can everybody see it? He gives a list of possible allegories, like what this is about here. And he says... take your pick on which one of these you think it could be.
But I think any good allegory could be taken to mean many things depending on the person reading it.
Right, sure.
And I think that it sets up a basic dichotomy, which is that true bliss is probably found when you can get to a place where you're comfortable. He says that the land that they're in, the whatever it's called, Sona Nil or whatever, is there's neither death nor pain. Now it doesn't say, and it sounds very tranquil, but not fabulous in any way, not extraordinary. And then if you risk, going for the thing that's extraordinary,
you're gonna get.
You might be disappointed, and that simple concept can be made to mean many, many things.
Right.
I think in one of the critiques I read, they talked about Lovecraft's sort of having a Schopenhauer worldview, which is that the greatest pleasure is the cessation of pain. That's the best that we can expect out of life.
That's also a Hellraiser viewpoint of things.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, that's the cube. It was all about, if you're going to experience pleasures in pains, like that's the only way they're really going to get... People would know what they were getting into with the cube, even though they're getting ripped apart. It was like, they knew that was part of the deal.
Right.
And that was kind of why it was effed up. But the girl who was messing with the cube didn't know what she was getting into, but everybody else did.
What's her name? Christy.
Christy, I don't remember.
Something like that. I didn't find that there's no movies about the White Ship.
No.
But a very popular song called The White Ship.
Yes.
I don't know if it was popular, but they're a psychedelic group, right?
Called HP Lovecraft, which I never heard of.
I remember I worked in the music library at the University of Illinois, and we had 2 or 3 of their albums. Or maybe it was, I don't even know if they have that many, so maybe it was just 2. But it blew my mind when I went back to the stacks and found an HP Lovecraft album. What is this?
Yeah.
And then I put it on expecting this really crazy music, and I guess it's, it's psychedelia.
It's... they're Chicago band.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're from Chicago, and then they relocated to San Francisco.
Well, there's a video of them playing The White Ship.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Live on YouTube. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to go check out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's got that, Jefferson Airplane kind of...
kind of. It reminded me of that bit on Spinal Tap, where the...
With the Jazz Odyssey?
Yeah, no, before the Jazz Odyssey, with the flower people,
right.
The flashback when they were back in the 60s doing their thing and stuff.
But in a way, I liked it, though. I mean, I listened to the whole thing, and it's pretty groovy. I like the instrumentation and stuff. I would like to listen to more of their music.
I'm sure you can probably find one of their albums online somewhere.
I'm gonna.
Also, the story, I didn't specifically... It was published in 1919, in November, in the United Amateur. Volume 19, number 2. There you go. And, do you remember our guy, Alfred Galpin, who was the...
Oh, he was the guy that was going to try alcohol.
He was going to try alcohol. Alfred was the chair of the Department of Public Criticism of the UAPA, which was...
That's the amateur writing organization.
And he loved The White Ship. He thought it was awesome.
Oh.
But I don't know if he maybe didn't read Dunsany at all, because there's a story that everybody says... that, and I started to read it. It's pretty much the same thing. A dude on a boat travels to mystical lands.
Yeah. But now what I heard about that is that it's one sort of wonderful description of these lands after another.
Right.
But not necessarily allegorical.
No,
it doesn't have this drop off at the end.
No, there is no real allegory to it. The story was Idle Days on the Yann. And it was written in 1910. So it predates the story by about 9 years.
Well, so we know that HPL was a fan of Lord Dunsany.
Yes,
and that, and then this story, as well as a couple of the last ones that we read, I guess, fit into that what they call his dream cycle or his dream work.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we're just a little bit cranky about it because we like the horror stories better.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I've never, even back in my tabletop role playing game days, we never did any of the Dreamland stuff. It wasn't. I mean, maybe it could have been scary. It just didn't seem scary to me.
It's not scary. It's more about just imagery and impressionism and thoughts and allegory. I mean, the story that you read last time about the genie from outer space. And the angel from the future, whatever was going on. They that also was allegorical in a way, or was this? I mean, these are very sort of classical forms in literature, and
but
he's just trying out some different stuff. But I was going to say, as cranky as we are about it, I do think it's kind of important work, and it's probably influenced a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I would say so too. I'm just more partial to the stuff that blows my mind. Whereas This isn't blowing my mind at all. This is.
Well, I know that H.R. Geiger is a big fan of the dream stuff. He's a big fan of Lovecraft,
right?
But in particular, he likes the dream world kind of ideas and that strange scenery out there. I think he has his own theories about the collective unconscious and how we're all that there actually are things out in the dreams and that we see them.
I think
in
he
his
believed.
art.
I think he believed that there was like his art was his visions of the astral world or some stuff like that.
But his first major work in the 70s, where he published his prints of his artwork, was called Necronomicon. And that was the book that Ridley Scott saw and influenced the design of Alien.
But he
actually hired Geiger to work on it. So if there's any Alien fans out there, Lovecraft's all over that as well.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that is kind of a Lovecraftian story.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the first one. Well, there's one historical mention of the White Ship. I don't know if you caught this one, but back in the 12th century, 1120, there was a ship. It was called the White Ship, but in French it was Le Blanc Neuf, and it crashed in the English Channel. And on board, why it's significant, was the only legitimate son of King Henry I of England.
Oh, wow.
William Adlin. And so that was kind of a big historical, that was a big deal at the time. So maybe,
no, I didn't come across that.
Maybe Lovecraft read about it at some point, and this white ship, could be,
sure,
when those people died on the ship, because it was a bunch of other royalty and things, but that was the big person that died.
Now, do they? When I read the story, I imagined that this is like some kind of ghost ship that he sort of rode a moonbeam over onto, like it was like one of those walkways that goes between casinos in Las Vegas or something.
Right? Yeah,
like
that's
that.
how I saw it too.
Yeah, but as we were just talking about it here, well, maybe he took the moonbeam up into the sky, and then the white ship floated around up there, and all these things are up there.
I didn't get that impression, because it feels like, doesn't he say that it's on the water?
Yeah, I guess so.
He doesn't say it's in the sky ever.
Yeah.
But he does get on a...
It's hard to tell where you're going to show up when you get on a moonbeam.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You're really rolling the dice when you step on that moonbeam.
Oh, God. I really couldn't believe that, Because there's parts in the story where he'll say a place is beautiful, but he always throws something in there, that says it was beautiful, yet slightly repugnant.
Yeah.
There's something always a little horrible under the surface.
But not this one. This
but
one is
the
just...
moonbeams, it's just shiny happiness.
Yeah.
And the gay birds filled with song.
Next week, the doom that came to Sarnoth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm excited. That's our story next week?
That is our story next
that.
week. Yeah,
very
yeah.
exciting. But I think that's part of the dream cycle stuff too. But it's got lots of good horror.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got better stuff in there. So
I will say this about the White Ship before we close up. It wasn't to my taste, but I do think there's some nice writing in here, and there's some very solid kind of word pictures and imagery.
I agree. But I didn't like it.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, hopefully next week, I believe Lovecraft is going to step it up a notch.
Yes.
Or
can't
5.
wait. Let me say thanks again to Andrew Lehman.
Thank you, Andrew, for a wonderful job yet again.
Once again.
And I'm Chris Lackey.
I'm Chad Pfeiffer.
And this is the H.P. Lovecraft Literary Podcast.
hppodcraft.com.
hppodcraft.com